Panorama and Profit 2 do two different things that are very different, but also very supplementary and very cohesive in terms of the value it provides to clients. So Panorama helps organizations find, purchase, and implement their ERP software, while Profit 2 helps them offset capital costs through strategic pricing modification. So again, it's Profit 2 is doing something that's very unique to them, and it's their sweet spot focused on pricing modifications, whereas we provide kind of the infrastructure, the data, or the tool sets that clients can use to achieve that value that Profit 2 provides. We're both independent advisors to our respective clients, focused on working in collaboration to ensure that clients are getting the most out of their ERP systems.
For many companies, the ERP implementation process is almost a blur of deadlines and feverish activity. And typically, pricing, if it's thought of up front, is approached quickly, and it's usually an afterthought. Oftentimes, legacy pricing records in the current system, whatever their condition, are imported wholesale into the new system. And I'd suggest to you that focusing early on pricing has a myriad of benefits. You can improve your ERP selection process, offset the cost of the new system, and gain more benefit from your new system if you focus on pricing early in the process.
Right. Absolutely. And I think even to bring it back a level or to look at even the bigger picture, it's again, if you think about why you implement ERP systems, it's generally not just because you need a new system, although that's unfortunately a very common reason why companies implement ERP. Typically, it's not just because you need a new system. It's also because you're trying to get some kind of strategic competitive advantage or operational efficiency or top-line revenue growth or some type of measurable business benefits. And the beauty of this whole focus on pricing is that it does force you in some ways to look at how can we get more out of our current or planned enterprise software technology. I really want to focus on the right-hand side of this graph in front of you. The first two are interesting, but the third one is where I want to focus today. And the bottom line is if you look at our research over the years, and this is based on our most recent research published in our 2013 ERP report, which you can download on our website, by the way. If you go to our homepage, there's a link there for you to download it. You can see that one of the data points we reveal in that study is that most ERP implementations cost more than expected, take more time than expected, and fail to deliver at least 50% of the business benefits that were expected. So a full 60% of companies that implement ERP systems are not achieving at least half of the measurable business benefits they expect. And again, that's why this whole pricing discussion is so important, is because there's a reason companies aren't getting those benefits. I mean, a number of reasons. One is that a common reason is that they don't develop a business case or they don't quantify what types of benefits they expect. So as it relates to pricing, what are the ways that we can leverage technology to get a perhaps 1% or 1 percentage point gain in our margins, as Dave alluded to on a few slides back. That has some measurable value and some quantifiable value to the organization. So that's one reason, is that companies don't take the time to actually quantify what they expect. The other reason is that companies, as Dave very eloquently stated, it's kind of a blur of timelines and deadlines, and they don't have time to think about, how are we going to achieve these benefits? How are we going to get a performance or a profit margin lift post-implementation? And so I think just having that context and taking the time up front during an implementation to focus on those potential benefits and also define how you're going to achieve those potential benefits are extremely critical. And one thing that we've noted in the industry is that companies will spend millions of dollars in most cases for a mid-size or a larger organization. They'll spend millions of dollars on their ERP implementations, and they don't look at the incremental value that takes relatively small investments of time and money to get the full value out of their system. And a great example is the services that Profit 2 provide. and that we provide with Profit 2 post-implementation, you look at the cost of those services, it's pretty minimal compared to the cost you just spent on a full-blown ERP implementation, but it delivers such high value. If you kind of challenge yourself to think about what is a 1% profit margin swing, what does that do to you? How does that affect your bottom line? A lot of times that alone would justify potential ERP investment. So our focus here is to talk about and kind of put this in the context of how can we help companies optimize the business benefits that they receive from their ERP implementations. And then, Dave, you had a few points here about facts from our practices and some other thoughts on what most companies do and don't do as it relates to pricing.
Yes, over the last decade, we've been fortunate enough to be able to analyze in depth several hundred companies' pricing systems. And here's kind of what we've found. The majority of existing pricing records in most companies' systems are either unnecessary or they're counterproductive in that they unnecessarily lower margin. Companies that use customer-specific special pricing or cost concessions set those up and seldom revisit the sales potential assumptions they made when they set those records up. So those records stay in place far too long without review and suboptimize margin. We also think that the way companies often use their pricing systems creates maintenance nightmares where they spend far too many resources on just basic cost maintenance that can be greatly automated. At the end of the day, my opinion is that many companies could increase margin and reduce costs and gain more value from their ERP investments if they utilize their pricing systems and hierarchies the way the designers had originally intended. And doing so gives the opportunity to recoup at least a point of lost margin, which in any event is a big deal.